Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you. Good morning, and let's see where we can go today with our readings. I want us to examine our gospel a little bit today because I think God has a lot to say to us through our gospel. And just a quick reminder, this is Jesus preparing the disciples for his absence, right? So just a quick reminder of how this has kind of worked for them. He has gathered them together as disciples, and so their ministry has been with him. He's been there the whole time. They've been following him around, and I'm sorry, my mic is terrible, and I hope you know how much I love you that I'm willing to wear a mic, because it's awful. So they've been together this whole time, and now Jesus is going to be gone. So what is that going to look like? And this passage reminds me so much of what Jesus says to Mary in the garden. She runs to him because she's very excited that he's there, and he says these words, "Do not cling to me." And how powerful are those words to us? And again, he's kind of preparing them for what is about to happen. And he says, I'm going to be gone. I will be physically away from you. But I'm not really, truly going to be gone. And so we have the promise of the Holy Spirit, also known as the Advocate. And that is what life following Jesus is going to be like now. And how powerful is that to us? Because that's the church that you and I live in. We didn't get the beauty of getting to be with Jesus physically, following him around, getting to listen to him preach, sitting at his feet. We didn't have any of that. What we have is this promise that through knowing Christ, we have the Holy Spirit who is indwelling, who is literally a part of us all the time. So no matter where we go, no matter what happens, Christ is with us in the form of the Holy Spirit, the Advocate that Christ sends. And I think sometimes we forget how powerful that is, because we forget about the Holy Spirit sometimes. I'm sorry, I'm really figuring out my mic here. There we go. We get very focused on Jesus, the Christ, and sometimes we forget that the church that you and I live in is profoundly held by the Holy Spirit. And here's the important thing that I think we need to remember. That for the disciples to take this next step, for them to step into the church that we have today, they had to not cling. They had to be willing to let go of everything that they knew, everything that they loved, everything that was at their very core of their being. They had sacrificed everything to follow Jesus. And now he's telling them that he's going to be gone? Wait, hold on. Can you see how horrible that would be? Not only to watch your friend go through these things, but everything that you've sacrificed your life for. You've quit your job, you've left your family, you've been wandering all over the hills for this man, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, peace, I'm out. That would be a bit shocking to the system, I would think. And what does that mean for us as a church? Because I truly believe that you and I experience these same moments in our own lives. And maybe it's a little bit more real for us right now because we're all experiencing it. And maybe it's easier to examine it right now because we're all experiencing similar things. But for us to be the church, for us to be the Christians, for us to be who God calls us to be, we have to be willing to let go of what we thought that would look like. We have to be willing to let go of the most central parts of ourselves, the things that we see as being so vitally important to our identity, to be who God calls us to be. We have to be willing to let that go. What does that look like? What does that look like for us? And I want us to really examine that, because that's what it means. It means stripping all that other stuff away. all the stuff, what does church really, truly mean to you? What does being a Christian really, truly mean to you? When you strip that all away, what is vital? What is really, truly vital? And can we be okay with that? Can we strip all that stuff away? And I ask us to really think about that. Because we're being called to do it. You and I are being called in a way that we've never been called before. We are being called to ask, who are we as Christians, really, truly? Is it all the pomp and circumstance? Is it the brick and mortar? Is it the community? Is it what we wear? Is it what we say? Is it how we say it? What really, truly does it mean to be a follower of Christ right now? And to be honest, I'm not sure any of that stuff ever really, truly mattered. Because Jesus wasn't obsessed with brick and mortar. Jesus wasn't obsessed with what he carried or what he wore. He wasn't obsessed with what he looked like or what his followers looked like, what they wore, what they imagined themselves to be. None of that was really, truly at the core of what our Christian faith is really, truly about. Because what it's really, truly about is love. Ridiculous, absurd love that makes no sense. In the face of everything that we're experiencing right now, what does that look like to you? I ask you, what does it look like for us? Does it look like wearing a mask when 3/4 of the rest of Hy-Vee isn't? Does it look like not having your church put together a lawsuit so that we can all gather together and scream and praise and wave around our guns? What does love look like right now? Does it look like sacrificing for your family to keep them safe? I don't know. I don't know for each of us what that looks like. But I know we're being called to it. And I know that when we strip all of the other stuff away that we get sucked into believing is what we're called to do as Christians, when we strip all that away and nothing is left but love, sacrificial, ridiculous love, it'll look a lot different. It'll look as different as it did for Jesus. It will look as different as it did for Martin Luther. It will look as different as it did for John Wesley. We too are called to a different kind of church. It will look different because we're stripping away all the stuff that we've piled on top of it to give us something to do, to hide what we were really truly called to do the whole entire time. It will look different. It will be sacrificial. But here's the good news. Jesus sends to us the advocate. We are never, ever, 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 ever truly alone in this. No matter what we ask, no matter what we need, it will be there. We will have the power to step into this new world. And it will be okay because the Holy Spirit is with us, guiding us, leading us, holding us always. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.